What is ESG? E is stand for environment. S is stand for social. G is stand for governance. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting a special guest, Dato Dr. Tony Peng, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Cosmos Industries.
Today with us is Dato Tony Peng, a chairman of Cosmos Biotech Holdings Corporation. Dato Tony is a PhD holder in agriculture technology. And today, he will share about ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance in agriculture industries. Dato, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you.
Can you share about Cosmos today?
Yes. Cosmos is a company that doing not only research but also production. We produce different microbes and such as fungus, bacteria, or even virus, and apply in different industry. We have a microbes for agriculture usage, such as a biofertilizer and the bio-vaccine. We also have a microbe for disease prevention for agriculture. We also produce microbe for industrial waste management. For example, oil palm have different waste, such as decanter cake or EFB. We're using the microbe to turn into other value-added products, such as a vaccine and others. We also produce microbe for human consumption, such as probiotic, prebiotic. So I think the GKB is our brand, which is we produce all type of different eatable fungus for what we healthcare for the healthcare products. We also have what we call using the different organic material and doing extraction for different functional active ingredient as well. We also have the skincare and lifestyle product at the brand called Easy Care. So we have different microbe for different application for different industry as well.
Why is it important of implementing ESG practices for the agricultural industry?
As we know, ESG stands for environmental, social, governance. So agriculture sector, the only green, the seed, when we put the seed into the soil is green. The rest of the activities such as chemical fertilizer application is not green, is not sustainable. So because of chemical fertilizer, you need to using a lot of energy to produce it. And the chemical fertilizer have leaching problem. It will, once you apply the fertilizer, after heavy rain, the fertilizer go to the river, go to the ocean. It's not environmental friendly. So pesticide, fungicide, herbicide is also chemical based. If you're using chemical based, it will damage the environment and it will damage the soil environment as well. So not only that, after we harvest, not only the fruits or whatever we harvest, there are also a lot of agricultural byproducts. For example, oil palm, you have fronds, you have EFB, you have trunk. If those actually agricultural waste, we didn't utilize it or didn't do some treatment. If we burn it, a lot of carbon emission. If we put it back to the field, they will create a lot of also not only carbon emission, but also it might cause a lot of diseases such as Ganoderma. So I definitely think agriculture is very important to participate and implement the ESG as well.
What advice do you have on how the agriculture industry can implement ESG practices?
Okay, agriculture, just now I mentioned about agriculture, the biggest input, I was using oil palm as an example. The biggest input is fertilizer. So we should start to think about what kind of fertilizer technology we can utilize to reduce the leaching and to increase the efficacy. So that is number one, right? So there are a lot of different types of fertilizer, whatever slow release or biological fertilizer or the hybrid fertilizer. I'm using example. Last time, a car need to have a big engine to provide you bigger power, horsepower. But bigger engine means bigger fuel consumption. So now, hybrid car, more motor mixed with the engine and the turbo. So now the car is only like 1 liter, but the fuel consumption very low, but the power very strong. So hybrid fertilizer is a chemical combined organic, compile, PGPR, microorganism, it will have actually better efficacy. So beside this, just I mentioned about the biological disease control, right? Biological way to control the disease. That is also a direction. But not only the input, the output of the biomass, such as agriculture waste. I think how to utilize it, to utilize, not just burn it as a fuel. Maybe the agriculture sectors or different sectors should think about how to utilize the biomass for the higher value usage. That will be helpful for ESG because of agriculture output is once the practice is sustainable. So the output will be sustainable also, and that is what we want. Sustainable means we were able to continue to have it every cycle.
Dato, in your opinion, is it current implementations of plantation sector sufficient in supporting ESG?
Well, I think ESG just started. I think ESG, I repeat again, it stands for environmental, social, and governance. But to me, the S is not just social. You need to be sustainable also. Agriculture is supposed to be sustainable. But you can see nowadays, I was still using oil palm industry or even cocoa. Last time we have cocoa. I chalked the cocoa planting. But because of disease, now wipe up. So because of insect, pest problem, disease problem, wipe out. So oil palm also facing Ganoderma disease, right? So rubber also facing the fungus disease. Even durian also have its disease. So that's why if you mention about agriculture, is that enough, doing enough or not? Of course, I would say that there's a lot of space needs to be improved. So the planting methodology, the input, need to think about not only the current yield, but also need to think about, is this planting method able to sustainable or not? Not just the current high yield. Are we able to plant not only one generation, but 2, 3, 4 generations? So this is one area. Just I mentioned about how the planting methodology and input need to think about sustainable. So ESG, just I mentioned about social. But the S, to me, I would like to add one more. Environmental, not only social, but also sustainable governance, right? You can see a lot of agriculture is non-sustainable. So the waste, we don't have more lands to plant more, but the population is increasing, right? If those agriculture output can be sustainable, then we also need to think about the byproduct, how can we utilize it? To me, the byproduct, just like, we play Lego, the kids play the Lego. When my son used to buy a Lego and it was a tank. But after play certain period, he feel bored. So he doesn't play that anymore. So he asked me to buy the other box of Lego for him. Then I will just educate him. Why don't you just disassemble it? Then from tank, you probably can become a bigger fighter jet. So all the agriculture waste, if we actually further do research to see how to utilize those waste and turn into high value added product, then I believe that is also the area all the plantation, what we call the agriculture sector supposed to also look into it as well.
Dato, why is it crucial to continue supporting and promoting ESG within the agriculture sector?
Like I mentioned, ESG not only environmental, social, governance, but also I would like to tambah satu, which is sustainable. Agriculture is supposed to be sustainable. You cannot, today you plant one generation, next generation you have problem, right? So I think that agriculture, especially the monocrops agriculture practice, often happen different problems. So that's why I think it's crucial, because currently a lot of planters look at what we want is the current yield, right? Which is probably this generation. We need to think about either the next generation, we can still produce good yield or not. And just I mentioned about not only next generation. So currently agriculture sector, just using for example, the leaf analysis, to see what the nutrient need for higher yield. But we need to think about how to take care of our soil, our carbon cycles, our biological activity in the soil. So that's why for planting method, I will always actually advise and share with my opinions with planters. We need to look into soil chemical. Not only soil chemical, which is the nutrient, the pH, are we able to make it the nutrient balance, soil chemical. Number two, soil physical. After the monocrops, we use up a lot of organic matters, right? So the soil, because of the 25 years planted with the same crops, so the soil, the physical structure might change. Physical structure change means, is our soil still able to retain enough nutrients or moisture or even oxygen or air? That is also what affected for the yield productivity as well. Number three will be soil biological. When we plant the same thing, just imagine we live here, we eat here, we also discharge wherever something we don't want the same place. Can we stay in the same place? Then we already damage the environment. So that's why biological activity is also important. That's why if we do it, we only think about to putting only NPK without the trace element, then the soil chemical will haywire, right? Imbalance. If we only take care of soil chemical, we don't put in certain organic matters. We don't think about carbon cycle. So our organic matter in the soil just like the car's absorber. If we don't have absorber, when our car drive, there's a hump in front of us or a big hole in front of us, I think the whole car the tire will probably puncture as well. So soil biological. That's why when we monocrops, we come out with all the same planting methods, so that's why the disease started to come out. So we don't have a good microbes activity to counter it. So that's why that if these three, just now chemical, physical, biological, we don't actually take care of that. So I think that the not only it cannot be sustainable, it will not be social wise also will not be good as well. So that's why it's very crucial for agriculture sector to look into it.
What do you think about the viability and possible advantages of replacing 20% of chemical inputs with organic fertilizer and biofertilizer alternatives, and how this project affects the sustainability and productivity of agriculture?
There are a lot of scientific data, a lot of research shows for sustainable agriculture practice, you cannot only look into just now mentioned about the soil chemical. So just now I mentioned about the chemical actually that provide enough nutrient, higher nutrient content. Organic matter able to play few different roles. Organic matter in the soil or in the soil or in the fertilizer, it will just now mentioned about like a absorber. It will actually able to just like diapers. It can retain the nutrient, especially those like the water soluble nutrients. So the organic matter will play the role. Not only it can help to retain those chemical soil, doesn't leaching that fast. The organic matter will also enhance the biological activity as well. I mean, it's very easy example. In the soil, if we have earthworms will be able to make the soil you will in and out of the soil, you bring a lot of oxygen, right? So without earthworm, the soil can be compact. If the soil is compact, the roots were not able to grow and penetrate. If a plant without roots, just like human without mouth to consume food. So that's why organic matter, it will not only helping just now retain the nutrient, helping the micro activity, earthworm or microorganism. It also actually help the carbon cycle as well. So I think that a good soil content, we normally if a good soil, normally we will want to see the soil content 5% of the organic. That's why the topsoil always have the better result. If you push the topsoil away, then the lower part of the soil without organic matter, normally it will not be that fertile. So that is something which is the 80-20. You just about 80 chemical, 20% organic, and even with microorganism. So the concept now, there's a lot of research also shows that because of all the nutrients we put it in before the plants can absorb, it need to turn into different status. For example, rock phosphate we put it in is non-water soluble, and the plants cannot absorb. So you need some microbes such as for example the microbe to solubilize the raw phosphate. So that's why normally if we do the soil test, we will see the soil have the total phosphate and available phosphate. Total phosphate that doesn't mean the plant able to absorb. So just now the 80-20 concept is good, just like the hybrid car concept. So I think that not only helping the soil chemical, soil physical, but also soil biology.
How does extreme weather affect the yield of oil palm, and what are the potential consequences towards palm oil and the broader agriculture sector?
If the weather, extreme weather, oil palm need, normally from the research shows, oil palm, if we want to have a good sustainable yield, it's better to maintain every month, right? The rainfall is 100 to 150 mm, right? The rainfall. We need to have a stable solar radiation, right? We need to have a stable rainfall. But when actually extreme weather means makan sampai kenyang, betul tak? Apa itu ataupun lapar sampai mati. So it means kalau hari ini kita bubur baja, if we apply the fertilizer, then today we put, tomorrow heavy rain, or most of the fertilizer will leaching. The other thing is if we put fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, it cannot retain in the soil for 2-3 months. Just imagine you force the plants to absorb it within 1 day, 2 days. Because nowadays chemical fertilizer, the release pattern is too fast. So it's totally against what Islam ajar kita teach us, right? So it's not actually that the rocket science, a common sense. So the extreme weather, just I mentioned about our application method, is also something which is now the chemical fertilizer is very fast. You take it or they're going to leaching. So I don't think the oil palm able to absorb it within days, right? It's supposed to absorb it every day, right? So just now mentioned about weather, if too dry, then the female flower might be so-called abort. So that's why that it will heavily affect the agriculture output also. Not only oil palm but also rubber as well, right? So very extremely weather, then the latex susu akan reduce juga. So how can we counter this? Number one is can we actually make the fertilizer, the release pattern, we change the release pattern. Instead, the chemical fertilizer release so fast. Can we using different method to make it release mildly but stand for longer, right? And this actually able to save and reduce the waste and save more money for that.
How are labor shortage impacting agriculture's production in terms of completing essential tasks like several rounds of fertilizer inputs, and what strategies can be employed to address these challenges?
Okay, the labor shortage is happen everywhere. So I think that if we're using oil palm industry as an example, the current practice, if the current chemical fertilizer is pure chemical based, so what do we call that? Release too fast. So that's why you cannot apply one time only, 2 times only. You need to apply more frequent. So if you don't apply more frequent and the less dosage more frequent, then you apply 1 time, 2 times, the leaching happen, you wait a lot of wastage. So, but when the labor shortage, you won't be able to complete the fertilizer application. So oil palm is a very sensitive crop. If the shortage of the nutrient and the result for the next 2 years will be affected. So the other thing is when the shortage of labor, you got not enough time to apply fertilizer is why ensue. When you have a lot of fruit are ready to harvest, if you don't have enough label to harvest, then the FFB on the tree will be rotten as well. So I would say that nowadays there's still no technology able to overcome how to make the harvesting easier. Even though the tree is still very high and there's no easy way to harvest. So that's why I think fertilizer application or fertilizer technology needs to be adapted. For example, how can we reduce the rounds? Because when you reduce the leaching and reduce the rounds, so the label can focus for not only the fertilizer application but also the harvesting as well. So I think that just now mentioned about the hybrid fertilizer is also one of the options that the planter can consider as well.
What information can you share about basal stem root in agriculture and the viability of employing biocontrol agents as a means of reducing its effects?
Oil palm Ganoderma disease is a typical, what do we call the example for monocrops. And when you plant the monocrops and long term, then the soil disease started to happen. So this fungus will decay all the root and all the cellulosic material. Then eventually the whole tree die. So we can see that last time it only happened to the coastal area, but now it's also going to inland. Last time it's only happened to the what do we call the elder oil palm, but now even young oil palm, because sometimes you even see in the nursery seedling or some contaminations, you already see the situation. So that always because of monocrops or because of we only take care of NPK. We didn't really take care of all the trace element, enough trace element to strengthen the crop itself. Then we only take care of the soil chemical. We never take care of the soil physical and even soil biological as well. So when the biodiversity started to change the wrong direction, so the disease will happen. So just imagine if this room is full with good guys, police. So the bad guy coming, dia akan kena tangkap. Tapi kalau if we actually monocrops, we didn't really take care of the pH become, of course, our weather, tropical weather is already acidic. Then we further our biodiversity, our microbe diversity is already not really always positive. Then if we only actually that the current method, sometimes we replanting and those dead oil palm is already have some disease inside, so it will actually continue. Then once actually this continue, it's very difficult to reverse it back. So biological way is currently the best way. Of course, if we are able to utilize the genetic modification technology to prevent this disease, it probably will be more efficient. However, I think that the oil palm, currently the oil palm, what do we call the industry? We don't accept the so-called this genetic modification. So and this disease is all in the soil. So that's why that to prevent it is better. Because if you want to kill all the bad fungus everywhere, then it's going to be very, very costly. So biological control is the best way and it's the cheapest way.